What I'd like to talk to you tonight about is about the progressive elite in America, particularly those that want to become president of the United States or want to determine the future course of the country. They get a lot of media attention, they get a lot of rave reviews on college campuses, but I'm going to encourage you today to follow the money and to think about them in a new way. Not to think of them as political figures with revolutionary ideas. I want you to think of them as grifters and of people that are not of serious notes, that are cynical, that are hypocritical, and don't often really believe what they actually say. There are some good political figures in Washington, D.C., but I think a lot of them fit the profile as the way that Mark Twain once explained it when he said that a lot of politicians are like diapers. They need to be changed often for the same reason. So let's begin by looking at some of these people that you hear about on college campus all the time, that you see on national television, are espousing these wonderful progressive ideas. Now let's talk about another progressive out there, Elizabeth Warren. Raise of hands, who has friends that are big fans of Elizabeth Warren? She's the great reformer. She's going to fight corporate America. She's going to fight corruption. Very, very interesting. Elizabeth Warren is actually worth a lot more than Bernie Sanders, which is curious because before she ran for the U.S. Senate, she was a law professor. Now, law professors are paid pretty well, but her net worth is somewhere around $12 million. You don't get $12 million by teaching law, even if you're teaching it at Harvard University. So where does her wealth come from? Well, it's really quite interesting when you look into it. You see, in addition to being a law professor, Elizabeth Warren advised Congress in the mid-1990s on rewriting bankruptcy law. Look, this is very boring. I understand it. Bankruptcy law is not exciting, but it's very important to recognize how this works because Elizabeth Warren carried out one of the dirtiest tricks in Washington, D.C., and it helped make her very wealthy. You see, in 1994, she was paid by taxpayers, hired by Congress to rewrite portions of the bankruptcy law. And what did she do while she was still being paid by taxpayers? She went to large corporations and said, hire me, and I will help you navigate the law that I just wrote. Isn't that a great arrangement? So she started doing legal work for Dow Chemical, for Armstrong Worldwide, a whole host of corporations. Corporations today, by the way, that she attacks and she criticizes for being corrupt and being greedy. But she charged the equivalent today of $1,000 an hour advising them how to circumvent bankruptcy laws that she had helped to write. That's a pretty good gig, isn't it? Now, let's take this to the second level of corruption, and that involves her family. Elizabeth Warren has a daughter that set up a company called BTG in 2007 and 2008. And she was trying to raise capital. She was kind of having a hard time doing it. She's trying to raise capital and find partners to help her build this business. That's great. I believe in entrepreneurship. I think you do too. But here's very interesting what happened. In 2008, Elizabeth Warren is asked by then Senator Harry Reid to become the chairperson of something called the TARP Oversight Committee. Anybody remember what TARP is? The Troubled Asset Relief Program. Very boring. The acronym's kind of silly. But this is the organization or the entity which bailed out Wall Street firms in 2008. That's what you need to know. This entity, where she was the chair of this oversight committee, helped organize and manage the bailout of major Wall Street firms during the 2008 financial crisis. Interesting story. Who did she take to the meeting with Harry Reid when that deal was done? She took her daughter Amelia, who was trying to raise the capital and find partners for her new business. Who did Amelia end up getting capital and partnerships with for her new business? The very financial institutions that her mother was assisting in the federal bailout. Kind of curious how that works out, isn't it? So you see what's going on here. Both of these individuals are progressive reformers. They attack others, saying that they're greedy, saying that they're corrupt, saying that they have the wrong values because they either aspire to wealth or they work for corporations. But in fact, what these two great reformers are doing is getting rich off of their own activism. And they are milking the system in a way that a lot of other people would be hesitant to do and would not do at all.